retro game playback.
A retro game playback.
Retro game playback.
Retro game playback.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another retro game playback. It's your boy Trizzy. Yo, we're coming back to you playing another classic, another controversial game for you to hear a story about. One of the favorites, no doubt, for a lot of people. You know what it's really become famous in? Are these? It's the game Tetris. So that means we're stepping into the NES territory. Still saying they're come to be playing games for you. There's a lot of them to get to. So we're going to go ahead and get this started, and I'll explain a little bit about the story as we get into the whole game. Before we do, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, get rung up on everything we do in our retro game playback. We're getting back into this year, back into full swing, and we can't wait to show new games to you. We'll get into it. Start at 0. So as you can see, the game isn't very difficult. It consists of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks, based off a game that was played back in the day, made of wood. I can't remember what it was called, but it consisted of blocks that you fit together in a box, consisting of pretty much these same kind of pieces here. The reason why I was saying that the story of Tetris is very interesting because of where it came from. Tetris came from the Soviet Union. At the time, Soviet Russia, they had strict laws against buying and selling technological advances to other countries, and you understand why. The Cold War and such, and all of the situations that were going on made it difficult for those kind of ties to be made. As such, the government had strict laws against doing those type of things without permission. You know what I mean? Things were very different back then. Oh man. So this game starts out pretty easy, you know what I mean? This ain't very difficult. You're just basically fitting blocks in the hole. But as you can see, I'm on line 3. As we go up through the levels, it's just gonna get harder and harder and harder. I didn't really play this on Nintendo. I played it more on Game Boy, the original Game Boy. Comment down below, let me know if you had a Game Boy and what kind of games you played on there. That'll give me ideas on what I can play next. And those type of things are always appreciated. Oh, my first big one. Watch this. These things get level 2. Here we go. So as I said, as we level up, these things will start getting harder and harder and harder. And the game is fairly simple. Okay, so we'll go a little bit more into the story. Okay, so this is once again taken from Wikipedia. I do source out a lot of my information from the gaming historian. If you haven't, please check him out. He is a dope explainer of all things. I watch it a lot because I really need to get content information for a lot of these episodes that I do, and I feel like I should start doing a little bit more of explaining of the games and where they came from. So we'll start with this one. Tetris is a tile match video game created in Russia by an engineer named Alexei Pajitnov in 1984. It has been published by several companies, most prominently during a dispute over the appropriation of the rights in the late 1980s. So that whole thing, apparently a gentleman from the US didn't really buy, he actually got permission to meet with this guy and show that the guy was interested. There wasn't really a contract in place or anything like that, but the guy said that he would like to make a deal. So this gentleman from the US who wanted to purchase Tetris went ahead and took that as a sign as everything's ready to go, and started making deals behind his back. After a significant period of publication by Nintendo, the rights reverted to Pajitnov in 1996, who co-founded the Tetris company with Hank Rogers to manage licensing. In Tetris, players complete lines by moving differently shaped pieces which descend into the playing field. The completed line disappears and grants the player points, and the player can proceed to the full vacated spaces. Built simply on rules and requiring intelligence and skill, Tetris established itself as one of the great early video games. It has sold over 202 million copies, approximately 70 million physical units, and 132 paid mobile game downloads. As of December 2011, making one of the best-selling video game franchises of all times. The Game Boy version, in particular, is one of the best-selling games of all time, with over 35 million copies sold. The game is available in over 65 platforms, settling a Guinness World Record for the most ported video game titles. In 1979, Alexei Pajitnov joined the Computer Center of the Soviet Academy of Sciences, that's what it was called, as a speech recognition researcher. While he was tasked with testing the capability of new hardware, his ambition was to use computers to make people happy. Pajitnov developed several puzzle games on the Institute computers, an Electronica 60, old ass computer. For Pajitnov, games allow people to get to know each other better and act as a revealer of things you might not normally notice as their way of thinking. In 1984, while trying to recreate a favorite puzzle game from his childhood called Pentominoes, that's the name of the game, Pentominoes. So it's like a square box, and the pieces from Tetris, they all have to fit in that rectangle, and they fit like a number of certain different kind of ways. Pajitnov titled the game Tetris, a word created from a combination of tetra, meaning four, and his favorite sport, tennis. Because the Electronic 60 had no graphical interface, Pajitnov modeled the field and pieces using spaces and brackets. Realizing that completed lines filled the screen quickly, Pajitnov decided to delete them, creating a key part of the Tetris gameplay. Pajitnov recruited Vadim Gerasimov, a 16-year-old high school student who was known for his computer skills. Pajitnov had met Gerasimov through a mutual acquaintance, and they had worked together on previous games. Gerasimov adapted Tetris to the IBM PC over the course of a few weeks, incorporating color and scoreboard. Pajitnov wanted to export Tetris, but he had no knowledge of the business world. His superiors in the academy were not necessarily happy with the success of the game, since they had not attended such a creation from the research team. Robert Stein, that is the guy, Stein. Robert Stein, an international software salesman of the London-based firm Andromeda Software, saw the game's commercial potential during his visit to Hungary in June 1986. After an indifferent response from the Academy, Stein contacted Pajitnov by fax to obtain license rights. The researchers expressed interest in forming an agreement with Stein via fax, but they were unaware that the fax communication could be considered a legal contract in the West. So when he got this okay from Stein through the fax, it was deemed as a contract that he could start using the software, which until turned things upside down. I mean, you can't imagine that type of thing will cause a big problem with them, especially with the Soviet Union being where it was at and how complicated things were. So through the years, as it went on, the deals kept going and going. You know, physical copies were being made, rights were being transferred back and forth for handheld games, for computers, for NES. All these deals were being made while the whole thing wasn't truly nailed down yet. So eventually, it would all catch up to Pajitnov and then to Stein. Stein caught the worst of it, I think, because he was actually the one who made the deal in the first place and okayed everything to get going forward. But he was confident that he could make a deal and keep it in one hand and one piece, no problem. As it were, it turned out that way, and they were right. You know, the game started reaching millions and millions of people. There was supreme success, and you know, now it's a household staple. My mom used to play this game all the time with me growing up. She used to have a Game Boy just to play Tetris on, and my mom is boss, like holy shit. A lot of times these games have very interesting stories behind them because it was more or less the pioneering age of video games. You know, a lot of video games were being introduced, new programs and stuff like that. Oh fuck. And it's awesome because, you know, you look at the way things are turning out, you know what I mean? Video games are at their highest digital performance ever. You know, You know, I played Call of Duty, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, just a little bit, just to hang out with my homies and stuff. You know, I play the games now, man, I kind of trip out, man, because they like lifelike and stuff, you know what I mean? They really got these dudes looking like real people, like, it is getting faster, I have to think a little bit faster. I'm a pothead, it just takes me a little while to to process the blocks here. Ah, come on, man. Now it's getting harder. You can tell that they're really throwing in some curveballs over here. They're watching my movements and they're throwing in stuff to juke me. It's getting faster, really. It's like I can tell. My brain's not processing as quickly as I wanted to either. But I can understand where this game will be addictive. You know what I mean? You know, it's a great time passer. Like, there's instant gratification for the moves that you make. You know what I mean? You're not playing a long ass storyline. A long ass storyline and getting stuck in a spot. You know, it's simple as put a block down, take a block up. You know what I mean? You know, there's no doubt why Pajinov wanted to sell it right away, even though he couldn't in the Soviet Union at that time. It's kind of hard to imagine the lack of freedom of rights, I guess, in reality, and it's mainly because I haven't lived that kind of thing. I mean, I've lived a hard life, but there was never a time where I couldn't make a choice for myself or didn't make a choice for myself. Well, when they did sell it, they caught a lot of heat for it. There was a lot of problems for that shit. The story actually gets really entangled and really intertwined. That's why I really recommend that you guys go check out Game Historian just to see how it is. He's not plugging me for this, by the way. I just really respect the dude's work, that's all. Being a YouTuber isn't easy. Not as easy as people think. It's getting harder. I can really tell. I can't get it down from this little area either. Oh, no! They really put on that music, make you freak out. Come on. Come on. Let's take it all the way down. There you go. It is getting faster, it's getting harder. You really gotta make the right choice too, man. Ooh, baby, let's keep going. Bam! Yes, indeedy. Yeah, no, it's just gonna get way harder now. I should have put on the other side. This ain't good, my fellas. It's definitely getting harder. I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. I know no quit. Oh, man. You can't juke me. You can't juke me. Oh no! Oh! 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 Ah! No! I'll tell you what, that game is not easy, man. Wow, that's 23 minutes in. I always play 20 minutes for y'all. Thank you for joining me for another retro game playback. That shit was bomb. If you have a game that you'd like to see me play, and I'm talking about all platforms that are from before Nintendo 64, let me know which game you want me to play. Maybe I'll get it on for you, give you a shout out. Check out the merch, like and subscribe. It's your boy Trizzy, and this is a retro game playback. You heard me?